stuff on here about gram stain. So like knowing what the different steps of the gram stain are, like what the components are, what's the primary stain, what's the secondary, the counter stain, what's the mordant, what's the decolorizer, stuff that you all know. If you goof it up, like what color it stains, those are kind of classic micro questions that I try not to ask if you can't help myself sometimes. Make sure for these lab exercises, they're listed in syllabus 3.6, 3.8. The ones listed in the syllabus, the quiz is over, I'm going to read all these. Make sure that you know the application and the theory sections for those lab exercises, because that's where I take questions from. There are literally at least 3 or 4 questions on here that are fill in the blank. Like I took the passage from the theory or application and I put some blanks in. So make sure you know the theory and application sections. Same for the gram stain. Even though you don't know the gram stain, just make sure you know the theory and application sections in there. Understand like what a capsule is, the capsule stain. There's one here where it's fill in the blank about mannitol salts on it. Another question about mannitol salts on it, which we talked about that again today. And there's the alpha, beta, and gamma molecules, which we didn't talk about that today too. A couple questions about that. Understanding what basic tracing is, so that's in the theory and application section. Make sure you read that. Let's see. Understanding what coagulase is. Make sure you read that theory and application section in there too. We've talked about it, but make sure you know that. That's another one I have a fill in the blank here. Knowing what the catalase reaction is, which we talked about that again today too. So hydrogen peroxide in the water and oxygen. And understanding what a positive reaction versus a negative reaction for the oxidase test is, even though you didn't get to see it. Positive is purple. Negative is nothing. I'm going to see how quick we can get some new oxidase tests in. I mean, because that's so quick, we'll just do it later on. So you see it at least. For whatever reason, there's a lot of random things around back order now, like the coagulase. I mean, I've finagled some for us, but that's been on back order since last April. Like, it's not supposed to arrive until December. So, there's a lab in Gen Micro that we typically don't do. I haven't done the whole time I've been here, where you run and collect some water, and then there's a special kind of media you can put the water samples on after you filter, like concentrates bacteria on a filter. You put that filter on a special kind of media, and depending on what bacteria in there, they turn different colors and things, and then when they go in, you're essentially looking for fecal coliforms. You're looking to see if there's a coli in the water, if there's fecal contamination in the water source. That media has not been available for at least 2 years. I have no idea why. So some of this stuff, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to try to get you an oxidase test. I'm going to try to get you an oxidase test. I'm going to be able to get you an oxidase test. Well, I'm going to try. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. Or it might be here next week. You never know. But I'll try. Alright, so that's the quiz. So that's next Wednesday.
How many questions?
Yeah, I'm going to do that next. For the quiz, there's 15 questions on here, but they're like
Okay.
that's why there's so many. For the homework, so that's due on 15/2. I have lab exercise 1 and 2. Did I put a thing up on Canvas that says like what questions to do for the different lab exercises?
Yeah.
So look up on Canvas, it's all up on Canvas. So do this, yeah.
Well, you said for this one, and we're not doing that because it doesn't go through.
Yeah, 1.1, I realized the new lab notebook doesn't have it anymore. The same thing for 1.2. If you have it, access to it, which you should, because they're up on Canvas, do those questions.
I know, but like the questions are fundamentally different than anything that we did, right? Because it was like a hand washing exercise or something like that, and then we did like.
Yeah, I changed one and 1, 2 around.